What's going on, guys? Chris back here again with another AEW Fight Forever video. Very exciting stuff. We actually got our first official extended gameplay look. We got a match with Adam Cole and Kenny Omega, and I gotta start by saying, to be completely honest, as somebody who was a little nervous the first couple times they showed off this game, I think it's looking really good. Now, there's a couple things that I think we got to get out of the way first. If you are a graphics person, if you care about graphics, I don't think you're going to be very impressed. I think they've gone with a pretty basic graphical style. I think it does certainly not look quote unquote next gen. It looks a little bit old and retro, which I think for some people works. But if you're one of these people who wants, if you want it to look like WWE 2K or Spider-Man Miles Morales or Forza, like those types of graphics, you're not going to get that from this game. Now, that much aside, I gotta say that the gameplay that they showed off, I think, looks like it's really fun, and most importantly, it looked like it played really, really well. I think that when they showed off some of the other trailers and gameplay that we've seen, it didn't look the best. I think also maybe they took a little bit of feedback because they did show mini games in the last trailer that we got, which was a very short trailer. So honestly, to spend any time at all showing mini games was kind of confusing. This time we just got a full match, fully uninterrupted demo style. I think they said there's going to be a demo later on down the line. And this is pretty exciting because they've been doing a lot of work on the game, and everything they showed gameplay wise I thought looked solid. I think that it's clearly very fast paced, like they're going for an arcadey style, but fast paced is super engaging. That's something that WWE 2K did this year with their game. They made it much more fast paced. Now, I'm actually somebody who liked the slower simulation style of some of the previous 2K games, like 2K19, 2K18, those sorts of things. But I also enjoyed 2K22 and things being a little bit faster. And this looks certainly like the fastest paced wrestling game that we've seen in a while. And so from that perspective, it's pretty exciting. Now, one of the other things I wanted to talk about here that we did get to see was a lot of the move animations. And I think there was obviously a few, if you played some of the older 2K games and WWE SmackDown vs. Raw games, there are a few animations here that are clearly leftover Yuke's assets that they had that looked almost identical to animations we'd been seeing for 10 years or so. But I do think those are few and far between, and being that this is their first game and kind of everything that's gone on with the reduction, I don't think that's that big of a deal. Most importantly, a lot of the animations, not only were they new, but they looked super smooth, they looked really fluid, incredibly impressive considering, the sort of budget that a game like this probably has is not nearly as high as some other sports games that have come out recently. So I think that they're doing a lot right so far. One of the other things that's cool to see is just how transparent they're being. I think now that the game is clearly in a much better place in terms of what they can show and have it be impressive, it's really cool to see stuff like this because you could show so many trailers and talk about features and that sort of stuff, but as fans and people that love the product and want to see AEW succeed, we want to see actual gameplay. We want, if we're not going to be able to get our hands on the demo for a little while, we want to see somebody else take us through a full match, show us what you can do, show us what you can't do, show us what looks good, show us what might still need a little bit of work. But we want to see the game in action. And I think they did a really good job here. They didn't just, Adam Cole and Kenny Omega was clearly Adam Cole, I think, was being controlled by the CPU and somebody was playing as Kenny Omega. But we still got to see a lot of both of their moves. We got to see the one-winged angel. We got to see the last shot. We got to see Adam Cole's neck breaker. We got to see the Snapdragon suplex from Kenny. We got to see a super, super cool looking delayed German suplex rebound off the ropes from Adam Cole that looked really good. I mean, it was a super smooth animation, and I gotta say, I'll be completely honest. I am somebody who likes my video games to look good. I'm definitely somebody who cares about graphics. I want, especially games that feature real life athletes, like, you know, the wrestling games and baseball, basketball, that sort of stuff. Like, I want those games to look good. You want them to look like real life. That being said, that has never been the style that they were going for in this game. And from the first trailer, they showed that they were going for a little bit more of like a casual, kind of goofy, cartoony look. And while that's changed a bit, I think that since they were so transparent about what that graphical style was going to be, this is totally fine. Like, to me, because we already sort of knew what we were getting graphically, I don't really care that it doesn't look like WWE 2K. And Kenny Omega even said, like, early on, they were never going to be able to rival how good that game looks. And so they weren't really trying to. They were going for something a little bit different. And I think also that strategy works in the sense that it's going to help differentiate these two games, because they are coming out in a market that has a competitor, which, compared to the other sports games, there's only one football game, there's only one baseball game, there's only one NBA game, and they are entering into a market that is now going to have two. And I don't think this is going to be a yearly game. They said it's not, and it might be getting, you know, regular updates, or maybe they'll do a new one every few years. But because of that, there's going to be competition. And I think separating themselves not only graphically, but just certain move animations that we haven't seen before, I think all of that is really, really smart. They're also angling this gameplay from a different perspective than we usually get. They're not doing the hard camera that we're used to seeing on TV, on SmackDown and Raw and those sorts of shows. We're getting sort of that ramp front view, which is, again, just cool to sort of differentiate it. I also wanted to touch on the finishers, because in addition to them looking cool, they had this really cool, like, slow motion, like real sports style replay that I just thought added a lot to, like, the impact of the finisher and making it feel like a big moment in the match. And on that note, like, aside from the finishers, just the moves in general seemed pretty varied in terms of what they showed. Like, we did see a couple of Kenny Omega doing, like, the same backbreaker, and we saw a couple of, like, Irish whips into the turnbuckle, and you know, a move charging into somebody in the turnbuckle. But aside from those, you know, in what was basically a 10-minute match, we got to see a lot of different stuff. They also had a really cool kick out system, which is basically button mashing, but like when you do kick out, it actually flashes up that you kicked out at like 2.9, which is a very common inside joke within the wrestling industry of like somebody barely kicking out at before the 3 count. That was just really cool to see. And, you know, I'm coming away from this gameplay pretty impressed. I think that the delays that they've instituted with this game have been smart. I think that, you know, some technical stuff they showed, just some collision detection stuff, and, you know, Kenny trying to hold on to the ropes, but his hands weren't really on the ropes, that sort of stuff. It was noticeable. It wasn't like immersion breaking, because they're going for a much more casual style for this game. But it's this sort of thing where you're like, well, they've got, you know, 5 or 6 months till this game launches. So I feel pretty confident that they're going to be able to take care of some of the gameplay stuff. And I guess I wanted to end on that. Like, the gameplay looks really good, and the graphics look like they're pretty much how they're gonna look. And so if they can just tighten up what already looks like really tight gameplay, I think we are all in for a treat with this game. I am really looking forward to it. I hope it succeeds. I can't wait to get my hands on it. Hopefully there's a demo so we can all hop in and get some matches in and really get a feel for it. But overall, I am excited to see what AEW Fight Forever has to offer when it launches next year. Talk to you guys in the next one. Peace out.